is your path, live, with Bishop Mark, live from Dallas Universal Life Church in Dallas, Texas.
Well, good evening and welcome to Your Path Live with Bishop Mark. I'm your host, Bishop Mark Zorn, coming to you live. Let me turn that speaker down because I was going to hear some echoing if I don't do that. There we go. Coming to you live from Dallas Universal Life Church here in Dallas, Texas, as we do every Wednesday night at 5:30 Central Time. Well, we barely made it. Okay, this show's about you. That's why it's called Your Path. So that's what I want you to know about that is we want you to call in. So there's a little link at the bottom of your screen. Don, this one's for you. Type in tinyurl/Bishop Mark, and you'll be able to come into our green room and talk with me. Or you can use your phone, go to that little QR code on your screen, go to your photo app, or your camera app, hold it up there, put a link, hit the link, and you're in the room. Okay? Not difficult, folks. What do you want to talk about? Let's talk about you. Let's talk about your life, your day, your experiences, your faith, your Christianity, your whatever it is, your relationships. Let's talk about it. Let's pray about it. That's what I'm here for. The show's about you. And of course, we do have topics we talk about, and we do that. And you can interrupt at any time. Please interrupt, because that's, like I say, this is about you, not my topics. So you could call and talk about the topics we're talking about. You can call and talk about all those things I just mentioned. Just give me a call. I'd love to hear from you. We don't have many episodes left in this season. I'd like to get some more calls in. I think that'd be really good. Okay. All right. Hopefully I'm not coming across too crazy on the sound. All right. Today, we've got a big one. It's a big one. Big one. So let's get right to it. The title of tonight's episode is It Should Have Killed Us. How do you bury something God refuses to let die? Tonight is not nostalgia. Tonight is not memory lane. Tonight is not us sitting around talking about the good old days as though survival was sentimental. Tonight is about truth. And the truth is simple. This should have died. This is the... We can get a little further here. I've got the wrong thing up here. I'm paying the right thing to you. I just had a little further ahead. Hold on just a second. Oh, I was in the right place. This should have died. That is the opening line. That is the thesis. That is the testimony. This church should have died. This vision should have died. This calling should have died. There were too many reasons, too many obstacles, too many lean years, too many painful seasons, too many moments where shutting it down would have made more sense than pressing on. And yet, here we are, nearly 10 years later, still standing, still preaching, still praying, still serving, still building, still becoming. So tonight is not about what was easy. Tonight is about what should have killed us and did not. And if we're honest, that is not just the church's testimony. That is the testimony of almost everybody watching tonight. Because some of you should not still be here either. And yet, here you are. So tonight we tell the truth. You know, the Bible is full of things that should have died. One of the greatest mistakes people make when they read scripture is that they read it too clean, too polished, too neat, too safe. They read the Bible like it's a collection of polished success stories. It is not. The Bible is the story of things that should have died but didn't. People who should have broken but didn't. Callings that should have collapsed but didn't. Promises that should have failed but didn't. The Bible is not a book about easy victories. It is a book about impossible survival. Let's start there. Let me get my notebook over here. This is my handy Bible tonight, is my MacBook. Let's see if we can get this up here. Told you I was running late. All right. Genesis. Lord have mercy. My little desk here. Genesis chapter 37. Or verse 37 through 50. 37 through 50. Okay, let's go. Here we go. All right. So Jacob settled again in the land of Canaan, where his father had lived as a foreigner. This is the account of Jacob and his family. When Joseph was 17 years old, he often tended his father's flocks. He worked for his half-brothers, the sons of his father's wives, Bilhah and Zilpah. But Joseph reported to his father some of the bad things his brothers were doing. Jacob loved Joseph more than any of his other children because Joseph had been born to him in his old age. So one day Jacob had a special gift made for Joseph, a beautiful robe. But his brothers hated Joseph because their father loved him more than the rest of them. They couldn't say a kind word to him. One night, Joseph had a dream, and when he told his father about it, they hated him even more. As he told his brothers about it, they hated him even more. Listen to this dream, he said. We were out in the field tying up bundles of grain. Suddenly my bundle stood up, and your bundles all gathered around and bowed low before mine. His brothers responded, so you think you will be our king, do you? Do you actually think you will reign over us? And they hated him all the more because of his dreams and the way he talked about them. Soon Joseph had another dream, and again he told his brothers about it. Listen, I've had another dream, he said. The sun, moon, and 11 stars bowed low before me. This time he told the dream to his father as well as to his brothers. But his father scolded him. What kind of dream is that? He asked. Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow to the ground before you? But while his brothers were jealous of Joseph, his father wondered what the dreams meant. Soon after this, Joseph's brothers went to pasture their father's flock at Shechem. When they had been gone for some time, Jacob said to Joseph, your brothers are pasturing the sheep at Shechem. Get ready and I will send you to them. I'm ready to go, Joseph replied. Go and see how your brothers and the flocks are getting along, Jacob said. Then come back and bring me a report. So Jacob sent him on his way, and Joseph traveled to Shechem from their home in the valley of Hebron. When he arrived there, a man from the area noticed he was wandering around the countryside. What are you looking for? He asked. I'm looking for my brothers, Joseph replied. Do you know where they are? Pasturing their sheep. Yes, the man told him. They have moved on from here, but I heard them say, let's go on to Dothan. So Joseph followed his brothers to Dothan and found them there. When Joseph's brothers saw him coming, it's a long one. When Joseph's brothers saw him coming, they recognized him in the distance. As he approached, they made plans to kill him. Here comes the dreamer, they said. Come on, let's kill him and throw him into one of these cisterns. We can tell our father a wild animal has eaten him. Then we'll see what becomes of his dreams. But what Reuben heard when Reuben heard the scheme, he came to Joseph's rescue. Let's not kill him, he said. Why should we shed any blood? Let's just throw him into the empty cistern here in the wilderness. Then he'll die without our laying a hand on him. Reuben was secretly planning to rescue Joseph and return him to his father. So when Joseph arrived, his brothers ripped off his beautiful robe he was wearing. Then they grabbed him and threw him into the cistern. Now the cistern was empty. There was no water in it. Then, just as they were sitting down to eat, they looked up and saw a caravan of camels in the distance coming toward them. It was a group of Ishmaelite traders taking a load of gum, balm, and aromatic resin from Gilead down to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, what will we gain by killing our brother? We'd have to cover up the crime. Instead of hurting him, let's sell him to those Ishmaelite traders. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood. And his brothers agreed. So when the Ishmaelites who were Midianite traders came by, Joseph's brothers pulled him out of his cistern and told him to go to them for 20 pieces of silver. And the traders took him to Egypt. Sometime later, Reuben returned to get Joseph out of the cistern. When he discovered that Joseph was missing, he tore his clothes in grief. Then he went back to the brothers and lamented, the boy is gone. What will I do now? Then the brothers killed a young goat and dipped Joseph's robe in its blood. Then they sent the beautiful robe to their father with this message. Look at what we found. Doesn't this robe belong to your son? Their father recognized it immediately. Yes, he said, it's my son's robe. A wild animal must have eaten him. Joseph said, has clearly been torn to pieces. Then Jacob tore his clothes and dressed himself in burlap. He mourned deeply for his son for a long time. His family all tried to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. I will go to my grave mourning for my son, he would say. And then he would weep. Meanwhile, the Midianite traders arrived in Egypt, where they sold Joseph to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. Potiphar was captain of the palace guard. About this time, Judah left home and moved to Adullam, where he stayed with a man named Hirah. Then he saw a Canaanite woman, the daughter of Shua, and he married her. When he slept with her, she became pregnant and gave birth to a son. And he named the boy Then she became pregnant again and gave birth to another son, and he named the son Onan. And when she gave birth to a third son, she named him Shelah. At the same time of Shelah's birth, they were living in Kezib. In the course of time, Judah arranged for his first. Oh, am I going too far? I'm still going. 37 to 50. Okay, well, whatever. Where's 50? See, I didn't put a time. I don't have that right. Anyway, what this comes down to is, I'm not going to read through the whole thing here because that's just a lot of reading. What happens is the brothers find him. His brother ends up becoming a a servant of the king and becomes very well respected. Actually, saves the kingdom from drought and from a famine. And his brothers come and see him there. So that's where we're going with that. You've heard the story. You know what I'm talking about. Oh, I gotta get my notes better this time. Okay, Joseph would have died in that pit before the coat was gone, before the palace, before the power, before the promise. He should have died in the pit his own brothers threw him into. And if the pit did not kill him, slavery should have. And if slavery didn't kill him, false accusation should have. And if false accusation didn't kill him, prison should have. He did all those things before he became a servant of the king, of the emperor. Joseph had too many opportunities to disappear, and yet God kept him. Not because Joseph's story was painless, not because Joseph was protected from betrayal, not because Joseph avoided suffering. Joseph was kept through all of it. And some of you know what it is to survive betrayal by people who knew your name and still tried to bury your future. Joseph's story is proof. Being thrown down does not mean being counted out. Some pits are not graves. Some pits are only transportation. What they meant to bury, God used to position. That should have killed him. It did not. Moses should have died. Another Bible verse here. Oops, what was that? Okay. I'm going to go to Exodus 2. The long one. Okay, it's not too long, but it's pretty long. Here we go. Now, a man of the tribe of Levi married a Levite woman, and she became pregnant and gave birth to a son. When she saw that he was a fine child, she hid him for 3 months. But when she could hide him no longer, she got a papyrus basket for him and coated it with tar and pitch. Then she placed the child in it and put him among the reeds along the bank of the Nile. His sister stood at a distance to see what would happen to him. Then Pharaoh's daughter went down to the Nile to bathe, and her attendants were walking along the riverbank. She saw the basket among the reeds and sent her female slaves to get it. She opened it and saw the baby. He was crying, and she felt sorry for him. This is one of the Hebrew babies, she said. Then his sister asked Pharaoh's daughter, "Shall I go and get one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you?" "Yes, go," she answered. So the girl went and got the baby's mother. Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Take this baby and nurse him for me, and I will pay you." So the woman took the baby and nursed him. When the child grew older, she took him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. She named him Moses, saying, "I drew him out of the water." Is that all I need there? Nope, anymore. One day Moses had grown up. He went out to where his own people were and watched them at their hard labor. He saw the Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his own people. Looking this way and that, and seeing no one, he killed the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. The next day, he went out and saw the 2 Hebrews fighting. He asked the one in the wrong, "Why are you hitting your fellow Hebrew?" The man said, "Who made you ruler and judge over us? Are you thinking of killing me as you killed the Egyptian?" Then he was afraid and thought what I did must have become known. When Pharaoh heard of this, he tried to kill Moses. But Moses fled from Pharaoh and went to live in Midian, where he sat down by the well. Now, a priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came to draw water and fill the troughs to water their father's flock. Some shepherds came along and drove them away, but Moses got up and came to their rescue and watered their flock. When the girls returned to Reuel, their father, he asked them, "Why have you returned so early today?" They answered, "An Egyptian rescued us from the shepherds. He even drew water for us and watered the flock." "And where is he?" Reuel asked his daughters. "Why did you leave him? Invite him to have something to eat." Moses agreed to stay with the man and gave his daughters Zipporah to Moses in marriage. Zipporah gave birth to a son, and Moses named him Gershom, saying, "I have become a foreigner in a foreign land." During that long period, the king of Egypt died. The Israelites groaned in their slavery and cried out, and their cry for help because of their slavery went up to God. God heard their groaning, and he remembered his covenant with Abraham and Isaac and with Jacob. So God looked on the Israelites and was concerned about them. Then he goes on, but we know what happens next, right? So Moses should have died. He should have died before he had a name. Pharaoh ordered Hebrew boys slaughtered. Moses was born under a death sentence. Before Moses ever parted a sea, before he ever heard a burning bush, before he ever held a staff, he was a baby marked for death. And yet he floated. Now do not miss that. The man who would one day split open water was first saved by it. That should preach by itself. What should have drowned him carried him. And some of you know exactly what that means. The very thing that should have taken you under became the thing God used to move you forward. The divorce should have drowned you. The grief should have drowned you. The loss should have drowned you. The diagnosis should have drowned you. And yet, you floated. That should have killed you. It did not. David should have died. No. Okay. 1 Samuel chapter 17 and 1 Samuel 18 through 30. I don't know why I divided like that, but okay. Type that in here. 1 Samuel, we'll do 17 through 30. Don't want that one. I don't do the King James version very well. I just don't. I don't do Old English very well. I usually do the new international version. There it is. NIV. Okay, here we go. Where is it? James, 1 Samuel, chapter 17 and 18 through 30. I'm not reading all that. No, I'm not reading all that. It wants me to read 7. Okay, no. I don't know why I did that. Hold on a second. This is when I need my student Bible because it tells me a lot more. I can just look at like the cliff notes of it. Okay. Take some time and go read 1 Samuel 17 and 1 Samuel 18 through 30. David should have died in the field. Not by lion, by the bear. Not by the beast and Goliath. It's a story here, David and Goliath, in case you wondered. It's not by Goliath and Saul. David spent years being hunted for carrying an anointing he did not ask for. And there it is. Some of you have been attacked, not because you were wrong, but because you were marked. David was attacked because oil changes how people see you. The moment purpose gets on your life, warfare gets interested. David should have died in the field. David should have died in battle. David should have died in hiding. But when God has decided your story is not over, no spear thrown at you gets the final word. The dry bones should have stayed dead. This is a good one. This is always a very strange Bible verse for me, but it does have, it's got its usefulness. This is going to be Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 1 through 14. You guys spell Ezekiel, Mark, right, Mark? Ezekiel. Tell me what I meant. There we go. The hand of the Lord was on me. And let me just throw the microphone. The hand of the Lord was on me, and he brought me out of the spirit of the Lord and set me in the middle of the valley. It was full of bones. He led me back and forth among them, and I saw great many bones on the floor of the valley, bones that were dry, very dry. He asked me, Son of man, can these bones live? I said, Sovereign Lord, you alone know. Then he said to me, prophesy to these bones and say to them, dry bones. It should be prophesy, isn't it? Prophesy to these bones and say to them, dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says to these bones. I will make breath into you, and you will come to life. I will attach tendons to you and make flesh come upon you and cover you with skin. I will put breath in you, and you will come to life. Then you will know that I am the Lord. So I prophesied, and as I was commanded, and as I was prophesying, there was a noise, a rattling sound, and the bones came together, bone to bone. I looked, and tendons and flesh appeared on them, and skin covered them, but there was no breath in them. Then he said to me, prophesy to the breath, prophesy, Son of man, and say to it, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Come, breathe from the four winds and breathe into the slain, and then that they may live. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and breath entered them. They came to life and stood up on their feet, a vast army. Then he said to me, Son of man, these bones are people of Israel. They say, our bones are dried up and our hope is gone. We are cut off. Therefore, prophesy and say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. My people, I am going to open your graves and bring you up from them. I will bring you back to the land of Israel. Then you, my people, will know that I am the Lord when I open your graves and bring you up from them. I will put my spirit in you, and you will live, and I will settle you in your own land. Then you will know that I, the Lord, have spoken, and I have done it, and that I have done it, declares the Lord. Let's go bigger. Ezekiel does not walk into a hospital. Ezekiel walks into a graveyard. Not sick bones, dry bones, dead bones. Not struggling bones, dry bones. Not barely hanging on, gone. And God asks the absurd question, can these bones live? And that is the question tonight. Can what has been dried out live again? Can what has been depleted live again? Can what has been abandoned live again? Can what has been exhausted live again? Can a church survive 10 years of strain and still have breath? Can a person survive 10 years of grief and still have hope? Can a soul survive what should have emptied it and still have faith? And the answer in Ezekiel is yes. Not because the bones had strength, because God still had breath. That is the testimony. We are not here because we were always strong. We are here because God kept breathing. And if all that were enough, the center of our faith is built on this exact truth. Jesus should have stayed dead. Let's stop romanticizing that. He was betrayed, abandoned, beaten, mocked, crucified, and buried. Dead means dead. And yet, the entire Christian witness stands on this truth. What they buried did not stay buried. That is the whole thing. That is the center. That is the engine. That is the hope. The stone was real. The grave was real. The death was real. But none of it was final. And if death itself does not get the final word with God, then neither does failure. Neither does loss. Neither does grief. Neither does scarcity. Neither does disappointment. Neither does exhaustion. Neither does fear. This is not denial. This is resurrection logic. And resurrection logic says, just because it was buried does not mean it is over. Now let's make it personal. Because this is where people stop listening unless you put their name in it. Some of you should have lost your mind by now. Some of you should have given up by now. Some of you should have broken under the weight of what life put on you. Some of you smiled in rooms where nobody knew you were barely holding yourself together. Some of you kept showing up while grieving, kept serving while bleeding, kept praying while doubting, kept loving while exhausted, and kept believing while empty. And nobody clapped for that part. Nobody saw the nights. Nobody saw the fear. Nobody saw the private exhaustion. Nobody saw how close you came to quitting. But God did. And here you are. This is not small. This is not luck. That is grace. The real testimony of 10 years is not that we built something. The real testimony is that God sustained something. That is different. Buildings get built every day. Organizations get launched every day. Brands get made every day. But sustaining power, that is different. Anybody can start. Not everybody survives. Anybody can announce. Not everybody endures. Anybody can begin in passion. Not everybody remains through pressure. The testimony of Dallas Universal Life Church is not that it started. The testimony is that it was kept. Maybe that is your testimony too. Not that life was easy, not that you were untouched, not that you were never wounded, but through every pit, every prison, every wilderness, every graveyard, every cross, every dry season, every night that should have ended you, you were kept. Okay. First segment down and out. We'll get through now. We'll start our second segment after a quick break here. And let's do that now. Don't forget, folks, to call in. There's that little link on your screen, your path, tinyurl.com/bishopmark, tinyurl.com/bishopmark, or simply go to the little thing up there, little QR code, and hit it. See if anybody's talking over in chat. Nobody's in chat over here, and nobody's in chat over here. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Northern VA guy, 42, said hi. Hello, Northern VA guy. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us today. Glad you're here with us. We're going to take a quick break, folks, and we'll be right back right after this. If I can find where to put the button here. Here it is. Be right back, folks.
The Zoo Radio Network exists for one reason: to reach people where they are with music, conversation, and truth that still matters. In a world full of noise, the Zoo is a place for connection, reflection, encouragement, and real talk about faith, life, and purpose. Hi, I'm Sean, and I want to tell you a little more about who the Zoo Radio Network is. We are not backed by corporations. We are not driven by profit. We are powered by people. Your support keeps the Zoo broadcasting not only great Christian music, but also modern pop, classical, country, and live programming that speaks to real life. It allows us to produce shows like Your Path Live with Bishop Mark, stream worship services, amplify unheard voices, and remain accessible to anyone who needs hope. No paywall, no barriers. So, why does your support matter? Running a radio network takes more than passion. It takes broadcasting and streaming infrastructure, music licensing and royalties, studio equipment and technical support, website hosting and digital platforms, outreach, promotion, and community programming. Every dollar given goes directly into keeping the Zoo strong, stable, and growing. This is more than radio. The Zoo is ministry without walls. It reaches the lonely at night. It reaches the seeker who won't walk into a church. It reaches the believer who needs to be reminded they're not alone. When you give, you are not just funding a station. You are investing in lives being touched every single day. How can you help? We have a program designed so that all can give without breaking the bank. One-time gift, make an immediate impact. Monthly partner, become part of the backbone of the Zoo. Sponsor a program or hour of airtime. Dedicate it in honor or memory of someone meaningful. No gift is too small. Every gift moves the mission forward. Stand with us. Keep the signal alive. If the Zoo has encouraged you, challenged you, comforted you, or helped you feel connected, now is your chance to give back. Support the Zoo Radio Network today and help us continue broadcasting hope, truth, and real faith into a world that desperately needs it. Give, share, be part of the voice. Visit www.yourdallas.church and go to the Donate tab to make your tax-deductible donation today. Thank you from all of us at the Zoo Radio Network.
Turn it up. Welcome back to Your Path Live with Bishop Mark, live from Dallas, Texas.
Let's go!
Oh, all right, folks. Welcome back to live Real Path Live with Mark. Hey, folks, call in. It's right there. There's just something on the screen, the QR code. QR code at the top of the screen, at the bottom of the screen, tinyurl.com/Bishop Mark. I want to hear from you. What is it here? It's 6:04 p.m. in Dallas time, 63 degrees and rainy outside today. Kind of a wet, humid, cool day. Let me see what we're going to do here. Okay. This is going to repeat some things, this segment. And I think it's important. I repeat things. I only repeat things when I feel that they're necessary and you need to hear them again. So this is going to kind of sound familiar, some of it. We're going to go for it again. We're going to go through this stuff and hopefully some of it will sink in. Oh, by the way, welcome to all of you watching on our Roku app and our Fire TV app. This is the first time ever we have streamed Your Path Live to our Roku and live Fire TV channel. We're glad that you're here with us. Welcome. I hope that we have a long relationship with you and you're able to watch us often and check out our page there. Okay. I'm so excited about that. All right. How to bury something God refuses to let die. Okay, here we go again. Tonight, again, we begin something different. It's not just another Wednesday, not another Bible study. Tonight is just not just another message to get you through the week. Tonight begins the road to 10 years, 10 years of ministry, 10 years of faith, 10 years of service, 10 years of survival, 10 years of learning how to keep showing up when it would have been easier to walk away. And tonight, we begin where every real testimony begins, not with what looked good, not with what was polished, not with what photographed well, not with what people applauded. We begin with what should have killed us. That is tonight. Not what worked, not what succeeded, not what looked blessed from the outside, but what should have killed us. Because if we're going to spend this month talking honestly about 10 years, then we are not going to waste our time pretending that this was easy. It was not easy. It was not neat. It was not clean. It was not always certain. It was not always stable. And it was not always strong. And yet, it lived. That is the testimony. Not that it was easy, but that it lived. And that is not just the story of this church. That is the story of Scripture. And if we're honest, this is the story of most of us too. No, so tonight we begin here. How do you bury something God refuses to let die? And the answer is simple. He can't. We talked about this. One of the greatest lies people tell about the Bible is that it's a book about faith, easy faith. It's not. People read the Bible like it's a book full of polished heroes and neat endings. It is not. The Bible is not a book about people who had easy lives. It's a book about people who survived impossible ones. That is the whole book. Scripture is not a collection of fairy tales about nice people who behaved and got rewarded. Scripture is a witness to what God does with what should have died. That is the Bible. A creation that should have collapsed, a people that should have disappeared, a covenant that should have failed, a promise that should have died, a Messiah that should have stayed buried. And yet, those two words may be one of the holiest words in the Christian faith, and yet, everything in Scripture should have fallen apart. And yet, that is the whole testimony. We talked about Joseph and how that should have killed him, but it didn't. He moved on to great things. God used what should have killed him as a way of transporting him into the next part of his life. There were a lot of times in the church in the last 10 years that I have felt I think there's one I had to talk about here. We're talking about the early church and about early disappointment. Somebody who left, a moment that it felt like we were in the pit. And the only thing I can describe it, and I don't want to do this in a way that puts blame on anybody, but it's just something that happened. I think the hardest thing we had go on in that sense, an early disappointment in our church and somebody who left, was when we lost Deacon Partain. And I went through a lot of work went into his ordination and making him a deacon, and whatever happened, and he moved on very quickly after his ordination. And that was I don't know if people realize, that was a blow to me. I mean, here I was finally going to get some relief with somebody who helped, carry some of this burden with me and help me, not have to do so much to get done when I was getting done, but it went the opposite way. So then it was the questions and what happened, where is he, and what's going on, and the honest answer was I didn't know, so I couldn't give an answer. That was very hard. I mean, every Sunday I had to appear and not know what was going on because Justin had that's his right. He decided he'd move on, and he decided not to tell me what was going on. That's his right. I wish he had, but he didn't, and that's fine. That's what happened. Justin and I are still very good friends. We still talk. He's still a deacon of the church. I mean, period. But he decided not to serve here, and that's okay. But it was hard for me because the guys were looking at me for some leadership as to what do we do? What's going on? Tell us and I couldn't tell them. And that getting up and every Sunday and going up to that every Sunday was very difficult. It was difficult to. Usually, I'm the one who knows. Does that make sense? Usually, I'm the one who knows what's going on. And to not know what's going on and have people asking me and me not being able to tell them, that was tough. And I think it overshadowed a lot of our teachings for that time until we finally got through it. It was rough. It was rough for us. So that was a tough time. And yet, it was a tough time And yet, we were not buried. We were positioned. That should have killed us. It really should have, but it didn't. Talked about Moses, about how the water should have killed him, but the water saved him. Remember? Just spoke about that. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the water. I think it's obvious the thing I want to talk about here, what almost drowned us, was COVID. We were a small church. We just started in 2016. So our first service was Christmas Eve, Christmas Day of 2016. So really, we didn't really go until 2017, right? So 2019, late 2019, 2020 is when COVID started. So you can understand, that's pretty quick for a small church. Attendance was already, it was okay. We were still small, but then COVID hits and less people come, and we start talking about how to wash your hands and this and that and blah. It kind of shifts from things. Things shift from growing to surviving and not dying. And then the lockdown happens, quarantine. Excuse me for a second. And I'll never forget doing that Easter service during quarantine by myself, or doing Palm Sunday by myself, when I kneel down to kneel in front of the altar, praying at the time of Christ's death, and not knowing nobody here, just in case I couldn't get back up, nobody was here. That thought went through my head, and it made me realize how much I thrive on my congregation and how much I need them just as much as they hopefully need me. Because without their input, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where to go next. So when I see what they're getting, what they're not getting, it helps me to figure out what path I'm going to take next. And during that time, there was nobody to talk. I mean, there was nobody knew what the answers were here. This is something that was new to us. Nobody knew. This was a scary time. I mean, there was nobody to call and say, well, what do we do? You just had to do, and usually do it alone. And coming back from that, I mean, we still haven't recovered completely. We still don't have the attendance we used to have. We still don't. And it should have drowned us. And yet, we floated. Then we talked about David. I mean, forgotten in a field, ignored by his family, dismissed by his father before he was a king. He was overlooked. Now, some of you know that pain too, being put in the room and still unseen, pain of being capable and still overlooked, pain of carrying something in you nobody else knows how to recognize yet. David is proof that being chosen does not remove conflict. It often invites it. I think we talk about conflict and talk about being attacked. The one time that I can really remember, there's a couple of things, but the one I want to talk about is when, do I want to do that? I'm going to go with this. We are a small church. We are a home church. We meet in the living room of my condo. That's how small we are. Do we want to grow? Yes, we're trying. It's hard. I think the hardest thing for us as far as being attacked was when our own homeowners association came after me and told me that I was running a business out of my condo and that it was against HOA rules and they were going to throw me out, basically. And all I'm starting to think at that point is, you have people in this complex that are doing things that are a lot more disruptive than what I'm doing. We have some people here coming here on Sundays. We have people that come in during the week for counseling or whatever. And you're worried about my church. I'm trying to do good here, and you're worried about me disrupting you. We're not playing music all night long. We're not making noise. We have a service here, and we have I don't understand. I didn't get it. I still don't get it. It seems like some people get a vendetta and they don't even know why they have a vendetta. They just have a vendetta and everybody kind of jumps on it. I don't get that mob mentality crap. And I don't believe rumors either. When I hear something about somebody, I'm going to find out for myself if that's true or not. And I'm not going to treat them differently until I do. Period. I mean, yes, I value other people's opinions. I do. And it does help when I'm being told something that maybe I didn't know about this person. It helps. And it might change the way I look at them, but I try not to act differently to them unless they've done something wrong to me. Or I feel that they're wronging somebody I know or wronging somebody else that I know about. If I don't know about that, if I haven't seen it with my own eyes, how can I believe it? You can't. We were chosen to build a church. I was chosen to build this church with my congregants here. And that made us a target. But it did not make us a casualty. Then we talked about Ezekiel in the graveyard, right? Remember that? About the bones, the crazy bones coming up. I thought that was weird. It is weird, but it's all right. So tonight's question is, can what has been drained live again? Can what has been disappointed live again? Can what has been exhausted live again? Can what has been wounded live again? And can what has been stretched for 10 years still have breath for 10 more? And the answer is yes. Not because the bones were strong, but because God still had breath. That is the whole testimony of survival. We are not here because we are always strong enough. We are here because God keeps breathing. Talking about dryness, a dry season of the church. Like I said, I thrive on my congregation being here. That's what gets me going. That's what keeps me going during the week. I think if I did this all digital completely all the time, I wouldn't be able to do it. It's like right now, I'm waiting for Don to call in because I want to talk to my congregation. I thrive off of that. Coming out of COVID was probably the hardest for me. And during COVID and coming out of it. Coming out more because at that point, people had a choice to come back. And they didn't for a time. And I still would get up and go, usually late at that point, because there was no hurry. Nobody was here. And I would do the service, record it, and get it online. And it wasn't the same. It was, I was fat. I had no energy. My preaching was just boring. It was just me reading something. Like I'm freezing over here. Yep, I was freezing. Sorry about that, folks, if I froze. Okay. That was rough. I mean, I was tired. Look, I had to go through it too. I was going through all the stuff that everybody else was going through, but I was still trying to run the church and still trying to get the message out there every Sunday. And it was rough doing it by myself. I know Tim came back pretty quickly after the quarantine and was here. And then after that, I got sick. And then I got, COVID. And that knocked me down. Here we are coming back out of it. Everybody's out of the quarantine. And I wait till the last minute. I go get COVID. We were dry. It was dry, for sure. But dry is not dead. Look at Job verses chapters 1 through 42. Now, obviously, I'm not going to read that to you. Job, survival is sometimes the sermon. Now, Job destroys the lie that faith means immunity. Job was faithful and still suffered, righteous and still lost, devoted and still devastated. And some of you need that tonight because too many people have been taught in their life, taught that if life hurts, faith failed. No, sometimes pain is not proof God left. Sometimes survival is proof God stayed. Job lost family. Job lost security. Job lost certainty. Job lost comfort. Job lost the version of life he thought he understood. And yet, Job remained wounded, confused, angry, grieving, but present. And some nights that is a miracle. Not thriving, present. Not polished, present. Not strong, present. And if all you did was survive this season and still show up, that is not failure. That is faith. I think this part is true. Talking about the church and talking about the cost of the church and what it costs, not only monetarily but personally, emotionally. It's a lot, folks. I mean, I've given up a lot of things that I would normally do as somebody my age, being able to, I'm a single guy. I would go out and mingle and have a good time. But Saturday nights aren't made for that here. Saturday nights, no, I don't go to sleep on Saturday nights, but it's not because I'm at the club. It's because I'm here getting ready for service on Sunday. That's something different. I don't mind that. Do I miss it sometimes, being able to do what I want to do? Yes, sometimes. I think that the worst part is when people don't realize, hey, the time alone putting into this is crazy. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but it is. It takes a lot. But the monetary cost as well. I mean, the church has, unfortunately, the church has, we cater to, cater, that's not the word I want to use. Our congregants are mostly poor, as am I. And we can't sustain the church alone on tithes. So we do have to work. I put a lot of my own money into it. We do have to work to try and get donations on the outside, which we try to do. And that's rough. And a lot of people don't see why I do it. A lot of people outside the church especially don't see, what are you doing? Why are you only 2 people? Nobody was even there for that service. Why are you doing this? Well, like I said before, if I could change one person's life, I've done what I'm supposed to be doing. I've done what I want to do. And I just want to do that every day. Make a change. Some seasons, the miracle was not growth. The miracle was that we stayed. What survived you was not the end of you. Because survival was never supposed to be the finish line. If you burn through the... yeah, I need to put my notes in here. Hold on a second. Let me get through this. I don't know if I want to go into this next segment or not, because I mean, we're at a point where it's a stopping point. And I really don't want to go further with this today. Yeah, we're not going to go any further with this. We'll do this next week. Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about, very quickly what we're talking about here, what we said. I've been doing this for nearly 10 years at this church. And that's what we're going to talk about the rest of this month. In fact, we're going to be kind of leading up to our 10-year anniversary on the 31st. Don't forget, folks, on Sunday, the 31st of May, we will celebrate our 10-year anniversary right here on the air, on all of our stations, all of the radio stations, everything we have at 3 p.m. Central Time. So make sure you put that on your calendar and are here, because it's going to be a good one. What should have killed us? Yeah, we should not be here. There's a lot of reasons. I gave you a couple of them tonight. There's a lot more. And I'd love to be the one that takes all the credit for it, but I can't. There were times that, I was ready to throw in the towel completely. And the fact that I had people here that were able to kick me in the butt and say, keep going, I did. And I have to say, it wasn't, for me. I still, no matter what anybody says about me in this church, and that I am, what's that word we always use? No, Tim's asleep again. Oh, Lord. What's that word we always use? Narcissistic. Yeah, I'm narcissistic. Well, okay, maybe a little. I think you have to be a little bit narcissistic to do what I do. You have to be a little bit into yourself to do what I do. You have to, any kind of actor or anybody putting on a show, which it's not. I know you don't like to hear it that way, but sometimes it is, folks. I mean, I have to admit to you, when I get up every Sunday to go to church, I don't always have a happy face on. I'm not always, in the best of mood, just like anybody else going to work. So, but I have to put on that face for you and for people. And my burdens at that point is not the issue. The issue is what we're trying to get taught out there, what we're trying to teach you, what we're trying to to teach to you and preach to you. So if I go up there and having a bad day and I show it, you're not going to get the message for that day, and that's not what that I'm not doing my job. I should be fired for that. So part of my job is acting. It is. It's putting on a face, putting on a mask, and it's just the way it is. So that's tough. And whatever anybody says about that, about me being narcissistic and up there, I do this because for you. This is for me also, but for you. That's the whole reason I started this church, was for you. And it's evolved into even more than of the for you parts. For you and why, but why for you? And for who? But for those people who have been told by church no. Who have been told, how can a church tell you no? You can't come here. What? It's a church that says you can't have communion. What? It's to teach the value of love, what love is, and that if you love each other like Jesus Christ loved you, then everything else falls into place. You don't need a book. You don't need rules. You don't need commandments. It's all right there. If you're loving everybody like Jesus loves you, then it's all going to fall into place and you're doing everything right. That's what it's about. And that's why I do this. Yeah, we should have been dead a long time ago. A long time ago. But I keep going. And I never thought about doing this ministry on the air like this. I never thought about that. And just things, God has stepped in and made it happen, just like he did in my life. He trained me for this job all my life, in the different jobs I had as growing up and going through seminary and everything else. And now he's, through the past 10 years, moved us into this direction of this digital church. We're not digital church. I don't like to call us that because we are still a church here. But a lot of our stuff going out it's even more of an outreach for us. I do feel that we would be very limited here, and I would hate the fact that we could only get a cluster of 2 or 3 people a week, although I'd be happy that they were here. Knowing now that I could put this out there and millions of people could see it. I mean, on Roku alone, there's 22 million subscribers, folks. I'm not saying all of them are going to watch it one time. I'm not saying I'm going to watch, but it's a heck of a lot better than 2. So God moved us into that direction. And somebody's knocking at the door, of course, right when we're doing service. Let's see. I'm not embarrassed here. Yeah, good timing. It's Don. He just made it again. Don's always at the right end. He either calls in right at the very end or he shows up right at the very end. I don't get that. See, what I'm saying is that's what it's about. And that's how God has moved us in that direction. I didn't realize it was happening at the time. Somebody told me a long time ago, a friend of mine looked at me and said, Mark, why don't you just go on the air and do this digitally and don't worry about all this stuff here at the church, and you have to worry about all the BS that happens here at the church. Well, we're going to do that, and I still am not going to do that. I still have to have my church here. But he was right about the digital part. Just go digital. Just get online. And he was right, and we're doing that now. And we were doing that at first where we were just recording the service and putting it on afterwards, and that was okay. But then God nudged us to go live, and here we are live. And we're going live every Wednesday. We go live every Sunday. Everything we do now is live. So, yeah, we should have been dead. But here we are. Okay, folks, don't forget, coming up this Friday, we have the official Starts Weekend with Bishop Mark on the Zoo Radio Network. That's THEZUE.net. I know they're listening in right now. Thank you for joining us, Zoo Radio Network. We're glad you're here. THEZUE.net, which is Friday, and that's exclusively on the net, on the Zoo. It's going to be the official Starts Weekend live with Bishop Mark at 5 p.m. for about 90 minutes. We do some great music and just bringing you into the weekend, kind of winding down from the week. The next Sunday, we have Exploring Your Faith live with Bishop Mark, 3 p.m. Central Time. That's going to be our regular church service on Sunday, followed by the Bishop's Round Table. And of course, next Wednesday, we come back here again for Your Path Live with Bishop Mark, and that's at dulc.online.church, dulc.online.church. Also, you can catch us on Facebook, YouTube, and we're always on the zoo.net. Now we're always on the zoo.net, which is a good thing. Folks, welcome to you again from Roku and from Fire TV. We're so glad you were with us today. Welcome. Please join us whenever we go live and take a look at our webpage there, our site there on the app, and look at some of our other stuff that we've got there. I hope you enjoy that. Folks, it's been great being with you tonight. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Thank you for joining us for Your Path Live with Bishop Mark. Have a great week. We'll see you next time. God bless you.